What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Nintendo's strategies for 2021 and what they're going to be doing on all facets of the game when it comes to Nintendo Switch. So the three main things that we're going to be discussing in this video are new hardware, which we've heard about rumors and everything. We've talked about that, but there was a recent interview with Doug Bowser where obviously he's not going to say anything, but I think there's enough smoke that's going around that there's definitely some fire there. So we'll discuss that briefly. We're also going to talk about Nintendo's software strategy because it is a 2 to 3 tier type of attack that they're going to be doing. Obviously, we all know about their first-party games, that's going to be there, but their third-party games with indie developers, in addition to major third-party games, plus their third-party slash partner games that they're going to be publishing, a game like Bravely Default 2, for example. So let's first start off with the Nintendo Switch Pro stuff. Look here, guys, we've talked about this quite a bit. I do think that there's definitely a Nintendo Switch Pro or a Nintendo Switch revision or a Nintendo Switch new model of some way, shape, or form. Now, could that be the most powerful system that people are thinking? Probably not. I see a lot of that out there, people trying to say that it's going to be like this beast of a system. It's probably not going to be that, guys, because it needs to be affordable and it needs to not explode in your hands when you play it, and it needs to have a battery life because, you know, you want to be able to play portably and stuff like that. Now, there could be some other form factors that it can take the shape of. I've heard people talk about having like a Nintendo Switch, let's just say like home, where it's just like a little box that just sits there and you can play your Switch games, hook up a hard drive, do stuff like that. Maybe they do something like that, but I don't think it's going to be that either. What I think is the most likely thing, which I've talked about in previous videos, is that it's going to be something more like a new Nintendo 3DS, where that system, it was the same as the Nintendo 3DS, but what they did is that they actually enhanced it, made it look better, upgraded the internal parts just a bit more, added a few features here and there, but it wasn't a massive jump over what we previously got, and there wasn't a ton of games that can only run on the new Nintendo 3DS. There were a few, there were some here and there, but there was barely any from Nintendo from a major standpoint. So I don't see Nintendo getting some type of system and packing it full of tech and making it super expensive and trying to compete with the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 with power, because one, that'd be impossible for a form factor and price that'd be reasonable in 2021, but two, there's just no need to split or segment the market like that when you're already rolling on 70 million plus Nintendo Switch systems sold. So they want to keep that train going and make sure everybody can play all the games, just like you can play all of your Switch games on the Switch Lite. For the most part, there might be a game or so that can like play docked, which can't play portable, but for the most part, 99.9% of the library is available on the Switch Lite. Same goes for the regular Switch. Everything can be played across the board. So I think that Nintendo wants to keep that uniformity between all the different variations of the Switch that they have, and it goes back to what they said before as the Switch being a family of systems. I think this would just be the next step in that family, but I think it's very interesting to see how it's all going to play out, because the Switch Pro or new revision Switch ties into the other things Nintendo is planning to do. Obviously, you want to have great software. Software is always good and it makes your hardware look a lot better. But if you can combo that up with great hardware or a new revision, also with amazing software, that's going to make things even explode more. And that's what we're going to get into when it comes to the third-party games. These are going to be a huge factor into what Nintendo will be doing in 2021. The thing that I'm noticing the most with some of these games that have been announced is that it's unique games, and I wouldn't say niche genres, but not necessarily the most popular genres out there, but really hit the, I would say, chords of the Nintendo fan when it comes to RPGs, action games. There's history between them, whether it's something like Monster Hunter Rise, Monster Hunter Stories 2, both of those games being uniquely built for the Nintendo Switch. Yes, there's going to be PC versions, but they're really marketing it and introducing these games as Switch titles built for the system. They're not anything to where it's going to be like a shoddy port of something else. It's actually for the Switch owners out there. And of course, Nintendo fans have had a long history with Monster Hunter, dating all the way back to the Wii and of course the Nintendo 3DS. So there's plenty of fans there to be picking up these style of games. Or you can even kind of change focus over to a game like No More Heroes Heroes 3, right? That's a game that it's a long time coming. It's been a while since No More Heroes 2. We had the Travis Strikes Again, but every single No More Heroes game has been, or more like launched on a Nintendo platform first. So there's history there. It's made for the system. Now, it might come to other systems in the future, but it's built for the Nintendo Switch. So you're not going to get that shoddiness that we sometimes see with other ports on the system. And fans can really be excited about getting third-party games built for the Nintendo Switch. So I think that plan is really going to work out well. And even if you look at some of the other partner games that Nintendo will be publishing, I kind of alluded to it a little bit before with something like Bravely Default 2. That's a game that Nintendo's publishing in some of the regions. It is a very nice looking game. It's a classic RPG, old school Final Fantasy. Yeah, Switch isn't getting like Final Fantasy 16, doesn't have maybe some of the new ones. Final Fantasy 15, the regular edition, has the pocket, but not the regular edition. But it's going to get something like this that's built literally for the Nintendo Switch and has some history there with two previous Bravely Default games being on Nintendo hardware. So that strategy of having the partner games that Nintendo is helping out with, in addition to the games built specifically for the Nintendo Switch, is going to be, to me, what really drives the hardware sales, along with there being a revision to kind of to new heights in between the bigger releases. And we're going to go ahead and get to that because Nintendo has more than enough big Nintendo Switch games coming along with the partner games like I talked about. Shin Megami Tensei 5, that's an Atlas game, but another partner title exclusive to Nintendo Switch for the time being. There are a lot of games incoming here, guys, and we can talk about some of these first party ones. And I've talked about a lot of different games to look forward to in 2021. I have videos already out on that, on how Nintendo's 2021 is looking good. I just kind of wanted to tie everything together in terms of the strategy of what Nintendo's going to be doing. But the first party games are looking absolutely amazing as well. We have a game like Pokemon Snap, for example, that should be coming in 2021. I do personally feel that Bayonetta 3 is going to be another partner game, but first party published, that will be looking great on the Nintendo Switch when they reveal that one. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, that game's going to be absolutely massive. It's going to crush the original sales of Super Mario 3D World 1 because, of course, the bigger install base, but 2 because they added online play, which is what people really wanted in the game, and they also added an expansion to it. So even if you've already played the game and beat it and done everything that you need to do in the game, there's still more to offer up here, and it's probably going to be pretty substantial considering Nintendo put it on the actual title of the game. Like, it's plus Bowser's Fury. It's not just like, hey, this is just, you know, Super Mario 3D World Ultimate or Super Mario 3D World Deluxe or anything like that. They're saying, hey, like, there is more that needs to be discovered in this game, so make sure you pick it up. So they were very conscious to do that. I think that was a good idea to kind of draw the people that already 100% did or already played the game. People have talked about the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel and how that's going to go down and tie into everything. I could see that as a big holiday title that's really going to move a lot of hardware out there. And even some of the stuff that isn't announced yet. I think that Nintendo has a ton of big games that could get the reveals or debuts in 2021. Mario Kart 9 is a game that I've talked about before on this channel that I think has a very good shot. And yes, I know Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sells and all that, but it sells very steady. It's never at the top of the sales charts for anything. It just sells very steady along the board. Sometimes at the top of the sales charts, but you guys know what I'm talking about here. It's not like there's big sales every single month. So if they were to release a new Mario Kart game, that would instantly jump up to, 20, 30 million units sold in a very relatively short amount of time. Very similar to how Animal Crossing just jumped out to this huge, absolutely big sales number very quickly. I can see Mario Kart 9 doing that whenever it does get revealed and then released. So we'll see if that's going to be a 2021. But overall, I think that Nintendo's strategy of having their really intricate and detailed first-party games combined with those unique third-party experiences that you can only experience on the Nintendo Switch with the style of the portability, plus also with the dock play games built for that, RPGs, grinding type of games like a Monster Hunter, or even like an action game that has a lot of history like No More Heroes, or a deep RPG like Bravely Default, Shin Megami Tensei 5. Games like this are all part of Nintendo's bigger plan, and we should see multiple games from Nintendo Studios definitely coming in 2021. Concerning with this year with COVID and everything that was going on, some things were definitely pushed to 2021. So I'm excited to see what else they do have, but I'm also excited to see things maybe get back to normal with Nintendo Directs and kind of employing that strategy. We just had a Super World Nintendo Direct, which was very good. Good to see Mr. Miyamoto out there. I had a reaction to it on the channel here. So I think that things can kind of get back to normal in that front too, and how Nintendo is kind of handling COVID and getting everybody settled in and not having to worry about, okay, we're going to change this up or this person's going to be there. Everybody's settled in, working from home or getting back to office spaces like Sakurai rented out for Super Smash Brothers. So I think it's going to be an amazing year, and Nintendo's strategy is already starting to play out right now in 2020 as we head into 2021. So what do you think about Nintendo's planning to do here with their triple-pronged attack? I guess that's what I can call it here, with their unique third-party games built for the system, their first-party titles, and of course a revision or new hardware. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.